All right, good morning, everybody. The Blacksmith Podcast is live on Discord. It is Saturday morning, and we are doing our financial segment for an hour. Usually goes a little over, but it is what it is. We are here and live in the flesh, and I have the hat on. Top of the morning to you. Um, to start jumping right into it, the market has really rallied back. Um, the last couple of weeks. And of course, if you've been paying any attention to the news or whatever, it's really rallied back due to the tariff pause. So, as you can see in my portfolio the last week, 17% gain. Last month, a 77% gain. 3 months, not so good. So, it hasn't been that long. But the 90-day tariff pause has really been the biggest news, and there's any number of articles you can go on to see this. So I just typed in tariff pause, and it all comes up right here. So um, if you have any kind of financial acumen or economic acumen, you already know that the tariff war as it was not going to be sustainable. Let me stop advertising Lexus's cars. I do not own a Lexus. And then it pops up when you scroll off of it. That's weird. All right. So, right here, you have businesses ramping up shipments to the U.S. from China after President Donald Trump paused some of his tariffs on imports from that country, creating a surge in demand that could lead to supply chain bottlenecks in coming months. All right, so what are they talking about? So companies are ramping up importing goods from China right now because it's only a 90-day pause. So it's not a solution to the problem. It's actually just an intermission, right? So like if you were at war with somebody, it's like, all right, man, listen, enough troops have suffered, enough bombs have gone off. Let's take a time out. We'll be on it in 90 days. Let's both regroup and let's come back to this thing. And that's pretty much what's going on, right? So it's not as though it's over. So there's no don't take that sigh of relief just yet. Um, so the market surged back. I actually took an opportunity to sell some of my stock when they went back to the height. So like Robinhood, I only own 305 now. I had 405 when it went back up into the $60 range last week. I ended up right here. I ended up selling off 100 of them. Also because I borrow on margin, right? It's not something I recommend you do if you're not confident in your investing skills. But pretty much borrowing on margin is Robinhood allowing you, like if you have 10 grand in your investment portfolio in Robinhood, they will lend you another 10 grand to invest. So I sold off some Nvidia. So now I only own 145. Kind of sad face, but I was using their money to invest anyway. So it wasn't a big deal. So I earned a lot off of that. And then some Palantir. So I'm down to 128. Still have a good price, still $90. So up $35 on each share. Um, but again, borrowing on margin, I don't recommend you do unless you are a more seasoned investor. Let's look at SoundHound. I don't know if I sold any of these. No, I'm still at 700. Um, but as you can see, let's check some of these because I wasn't checking all of them. SoundHound over the past week is up 3%, well, almost 4%. Over the past month, they're up 38%. So tariffs, tariff news, and SoundHound also after that amazing call we went over. It's not even hard to see why they're up. Let's look at Robinhood. Robinhood up 7% in the last week, 43% in the last month. So these companies are rallying back after this news. And remember, this is where they were right before the news broke about tariffs. All right, let's see. Nvidia up 13% in the last week, up 28% in the last month. Now, we did not go over Nvidia's call. So I haven't seen the financials on Nvidia's call. What? Okay, hold on. Let me. What? What does it mean? High system load. Sorry, it's saying my camera is sending out a low frame rate because of high system load. There's no system load. I have a couple windows open here, Discord and OBS. That's it. Everything else is closed down. So get with it, camera. All right. All right. Okay. So Palantir. Palantir up 7% in the last week, up 32% in the last month. Now, I will say this. The ones I just went over, they had some amazing calls. The only one I think I haven't gone over is Nvidia's, but I'll look up those financials. This might be the last week of going over earnings calls because all the hype is dying down, but it doesn't mean they're not important, right? Um, if you are going to be investing in a company, it makes you part share. If you're a shareholder in a company, it makes you part owner in that business. You better be interested in what that business is doing. Point blank, period. That's really it, right? And that's why we go over the earnings calls because you need to know what that business is doing. XRP had rallied for a little bit. It was up last week to $2.60. What's this? I'm trying to get this. Yeah, $2.62. But it's back down again. I'm not too concerned. In the past month, it's up 11%. I'm not too concerned about it. I have some crypto, some of this Ripple. I'm not too concerned with it. That's why y'all never see me really check it on camera. And here's the other one. Stellar Lumens. It was up last week at one point. Yeah, the 32 cent. And a month ago, it's up 17 cents in the past month. So not too worried about it. I'm not too gung-ho on crypto right now. I was in 2020 and 2021, and then crypto fell off the face of the earth. I still invested in like Ethereum and things of that nature, but I think the real rage for Ethereum has really leveled off and settled down. Let's look at this article again about this tariff news. So, freight bookings out of China increased nearly 300% this week compared to the week earlier, soaring to the highest levels of the year, said whoever this is, Vice President of Strategic Business Development at Vizian, a company that produces container tracking software. Okay, so this person is actually important, and that's why they're in this article. All right. So this came after he announced a 90-day pause with China. Okay. So again, that's great. So what companies are doing is saying we better get our shipping in now because we might not be able to get it in once the tariffs. Hold on, let me go close the window. My Ninos are outside going wild. All right, I'm back. What y'all think about the hat? You like it? You love it? I do. Um, Okay, so um, basically, the companies are trying to get all their shipping done before the tariffs start again. And really and truly, if you own even a small business, you should have been geared up to go as soon as this happened. And that's what they were doing. Uh, Again, it doesn't take a whole lot of economic acumen to know that this was not going to be sustainable. So this pause right here, you should be on it, and companies are. So let's see. U.S. companies halted shipping shipments and canceled orders last month when the tariffs reached 145%, making it unaffordable for companies to import their goods. Now, companies need their goods, but I'm gonna tell you what they're not gonna do. They're not going to sit there and lose out on their bottom line. 145% may very well make it to where companies are unable to make a profit. In fact, they may be well in the toilet when it comes to profit. This shipping cost right here would eat up all of their profit and then some. So it's better to delay the customers and tell them it's based on the tariff news. So think about it in a day and age 2025 where you order something and you can have it within a couple minutes, hours, or days. Delaying customers won't make any sense. They'll turn away from you. That's like one of the fastest ways to lose customers is to delay, make them wait to receive their product. Right, even if it's from, I mean, they might be at home and order from Walmart and have it delivered, right? It can get there in a couple minutes or a couple hours, So what you do, and what they've done, and it's pretty smart. You say, hey, due to the tariffs, we had to delay this. Your It's TBD. Okay, so now people turn their attention from you to tariffs and the war. So now at least you as a business are not the problem. All right. So anyway, let's see. Over the past month, we saw a huge drop in trans-Pacific trade, especially from China, dropping from 60% or more in terms with those volumes. So approximately, just say that. So now that we have at least relative certainty for the 90-day window, we definitely expect to see those volumes ramp back up again. I would expect to see more volume, to be honest with you, because before you had certainty, nothing was going on. But then as soon as this happened, now you have uncertainty. So now you're probably going to order more and more and more and more and stack in warehouses or get somewhere to store your stuff just in case when this 90 days expires, you have a supply already on hand. So if things get squidgy around the edges again, you'll be good to go. All right, so but despite the pause of some tariffs, companies aren't expecting a smooth sailing in the coming months. It typically takes around a month for goods to travel from China to the U.S., but a surge in demand and limited number of ships, port docks, yada, 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 can take several months. So, what they're saying is that increased volume might cause a backup. What she's saying right here, or whoever wrote this, is that it takes several months to get, it takes about a month to get it. And once they hit the docks from being shipped overseas, now you got to get in line and wait for all of the other ships that are already in front of you to get all of their stuff offloaded and onloaded and get back out there before you can get it. So it's going to cause a backup at the ports, is what she's saying. So here's why that's important. I actually don't know if you pay the tariff. My guess would be, and it's just an educated guess, that before that ship leaves China or whatever port it's coming from, you would have to pay the tariff because you should know what it's probably going to be before you get there, right? So I think if it's already shipped and on the way, On the 89th day, now the 90th day comes and that pause cancels, and they say back to 145%, your shipment should be fine. Or does it have to cross into our waters first? Or does it have to get offloaded at the port first? Who knows? But I'm guessing it would be when you buy it, right? Because you pay the whole price of the goods and shipment fees. That's my guess, right? But I don't know. But that's a big. This right here is also big news because yeah, it's gonna back up the ports of entry, and then how you're gonna get you're still gonna be delayed one way or another. All right, so there's only a certain amount of capacity in that pipe. It only can expand so far. There's only a certain number of container ships. There's only a certain number of appointments in the ports to be able to consume that capacity. The bubble of goods is going to start flowing through the system, but it's constrained by the size of the pipe. So she's just talking about things bottlenecking. I think that's probably about it for this one. Let me scroll a little bit more. And if you remember, I think it was last year sometime, they were protesting at the ports, the workers, and they were on strike for a little bit. So you want to talk about really having some power. When those blue collar workers say enough is enough, we need more pay, or we're not going to work, uh, that could really hold some stuff up. I do recall they were on strike for a while. All right, let me see. They're talking about how long it can take to get shipping containers here. Oh, it could lead to, look at this, it could lead to a shortage available this summer, which is the peak time for retailers to be shipping their back to school and holiday merchandise. See, you think they wait until the holidays to get their merchandise. Well, that wouldn't be smart because you have to set up for the next season while you're in the season before. So that makes sense. All right, so scrolling through here, let me cherry pick some information. Y'all can see it on the screen if you want to read it. I'm only reading things that jump out to me. They're talking about fireworks importers halted. Many of their shipments coming from China because they couldn't afford the tariffs. Boo hoo. So I guess July 4th, those bombs won't be exploding in the air. Let me see. Uh, I mean, I like fireworks. I shouldn't say that. I like fireworks. China tariffs remain at significant cost of 30%. Everybody's scrambling to take advantage. All right, we're regurgitating some information here. But if you're watching the stream, you can go over it. I think that's the end. It was Shannon Petty Peace. Thank you, Miss Petty, or Miss Peace, or all of the above. All right. So export rush grips China. This is a different article. This is CNN. As business scramble to make the most of the tariff pause, if they start regurgitating the same information, we'll just get rid of it. Let me see. 90-day rollback, 30% spike. We already saw that kind of stuff. Yep, peak season. New orders not been manufactured, not ready for shipment. Not my problem. No, I'm just kidding. That's kind of messed up. All right. Yeah, I think it's gonna be the same information. Uh, so okay, why is all this important? All right. Because people hear tariffs and they don't know what it means. And we looked it up. We like definitions over here. Tariffs are a tax on imports, right, from another country. So it does actually matter because most of your goods that you receive on a daily basis are not manufactured in America because it is cheap. The employee is the most expensive part to any company, right? Because if even if you pay them $20 an hour, which we already went over, is like 41,600, I believe. Y'all can see this, right? Yeah, you can see my calculator. So if you take $20 times 40 hours a week times 52 hours I mean, 52 weeks a year. Yeah, 41,600. Now you take that and multiply it by 0.153, and you take that and add it to 41,600. That's the total amount you pay for somebody's $20 an hour salary. Why? Now let me explain what I did. The $20 an hour should be simple, Simon. That's their salary or their hourly wage, right? Um, then there's a 15.3% payroll tax on their salaries. Then there's the benefit package, right? That you pay for health care for your employees. And remember, everybody in America has to have health care or they'll get penalized when it comes to uh, paying, filing their taxes, right? Good old America, we love to charge people tax, right? And then four would be unemployment if they are fired, not for cause, they were let go, I mean. And then five would be workers' compensation if they got hurt on the job, all of which the company pays for. My wife just came in here and lit a candle. It's about to smell nice. All right, so the employee is the most expensive part of any company. So now, because if you're getting your product made in China, I don't care what it is. Let's say this Boom 3 speaker that I have right here, right? This can float in the water. I've had this thing for years, probably 5 years now. And I'm going to tell you right now, this thing, where is this made? I'm going to take a wild guess, but I could be wrong. Hold on. Give me a second now. I just want to know where you're made. Oh, there it is. Fabriqué in China. I'm going to guess this is Francais. And then it says made in China right here. Now, who would have thunk it, right? But this speaker right here might only actually cost $2 to make. But they're going to sell it to us for 40 bucks, for 50 bucks, for 30 bucks. And they may only pay the worker an equivalent of $2 to make this, right? So it's way more profitable to have it manufactured overseas, pay the worker only $2 to make it, whereas in America the worker might have actually been paid about $15 on average to make one of these, with the time it takes to make one of these. Just get where I'm going with this. And then they will have to sell it for so much more if it was manufactured in America than manufacturing it in China and then having it shipped. All right, so just pay attention. This is why tariffs actually matter, because it's going to make, realistically, and I'm not blue, I'm not red, I'm purple because I like the color of green. All right, so there's good and bad on every side. There's pros and cons on both sides. There's bad characters wearing their gang colors on each side. And I'm just telling you for real how this works. The tariff is actually it actually ends up being paid by the end consumer, if you weren't aware of that. All right, so we're not going to get on Business Insider because I'm not going to pay just to read their article. Let's go with the White House. Give y'all some time to read this here. All right, look. Oh, wow. This is the executive order. Okay, let me scroll down. If y'all want to pause this, you can. I was just trying to see if I could find some new information on here. And there's a lot of convoluted words. And yep, it's signed by Donald J. Trump at the bottom. Okay. All right. I'll tell you what. We will get into some of this right now. So, cost of the co. I have Costco pulled up. I have who's this? Amazon pulled up, and I've got Nvidia pulled up. Three power players. Now, why these three companies? Now, we've already been over Palantir, SoundHound, What else did we go over? Robinhood. We went over some. I can't remember. We've done more than that. I just can't remember. Okay, now Nvidia chip maker, obviously very, very important. And you know what? There was another one, now that I think about it, that I may add to the list. We may do them a little later on. But TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor. Now, this is a very important one as well because they make the semiconductors for the chips. And I'm just trying to see if they did their call. Yeah. So, as expected, their estimated per share, they exceeded that. So, they already did. But I'll see if I can find the earnings call, and that'll be another one we go over. Super important company, and Nvidia being a chip maker, also super important company. Let's go over theirs since theirs is not on video. This is going to be up to you to read, and then I'll read some of the highlights for you. So their quarterly revenues 26 billion, up 18% from quarter four, and up 262% from a year ago. So those are big numbers. Pay attention. 26 billion is nothing to sniff at, and they're up 18%. Do the math. All right, let's see. Uh, 10 for 1 stock split was effective June 7th, 2024. That's important because I was on the receiving end of that. I had Nvidia some maybe 2 years before the stock split, maybe three. Quarterly cash dividend raised 150% to 1 cent per share on a post split basis. So they pay a little dividend, is basically what they're saying. But it's an equity stock, so you can bet everything they're not going to be paying an 18% dividend. These are not real estate investment trusts. These companies are pulling down some huge money. So most of what you're receiving, you're rewarded for buying a stock in general with the equity it's going to gain. So don't expect a huge dividend from an equity stock. All right. So let's see. We already said that. I don't want to start throwing all these numbers out here unless I can really, the late great Einstein said, unless you can explain something very simply, you don't understand it yourself. Some people have remixed it and said, unless you can explain something to a third grader, you don't understand it yourself. That's fine. So I may not say it, but I operate off of that concept. All right, so it looks like they're producing a new commodity, artificial intelligence, said Jensen, which is the founder and CEO of NVIDIA. I do know that. And if you don't know that, just go on Robinhood and scroll down a little bit. It'll tell you who the CEO of every company is. Um, I don't know if you say that Huang or Hong. I'm not sure. So Jensen, I know that's correct. All right, so our data center was fueled by strong and accelerating demand for generative AI training and inference on the Hopper platform. Beyond cloud service providers, generative AI has expanded to consumer internet companies and enterprise, sovereign AI, automotive, healthcare customers, creating multiple billion-dollar vertical markets. So, okay, right here, we get into it. I should have actually read this because he says the next industrial revolution has begun. He's actually not wrong, and it's a technological revolution. Companies and countries are partnering with NVIDIA to shift the $1 trillion traditional data centers to accelerated computing and build a new type of data center, AI factories. Okay, so there's a lot of meat on this bone right here. these two small little, I guess you would call them paragraphs, even though it's just like one or two sentences. However, the next industrial revolution has begun. One of the premier CEOs from one of the most vital companies, most pivotal companies of this technological age, just said the next industrial revolution has begun. Folks, you got to pay attention to this kind of stuff. Um, I'm sorry, I probably don't sound like myself. I need to grab a Snickers, but I actually slept in today. It felt great. I'm not down in the dumps. I feel great. I maybe don't sound the same. I usually have gone to the gym for an hour or two beforehand, but I slept in. I needed it. I feel so recharged right now. May not come off to y'all like that, but I'm feeling great over here. You need a rest day. You need two every once in a while. So it's going to be two this week for me. But listen, the reason why you need to pay attention to this is because, again, one of the most important CEOs of the most important companies in all of history, really, just said there's another industrial revolution, and he told you where it's going. He's saying companies and countries are partnering with them, so you know they're not sleeping, they're still working, and it's big, big moves that they're making. He mentioned trillion-dollar traditional data centers are changing to being AI factories. It says accelerated computing. They're talking about also, if you can read between the lines, quantum computing, right? It's not just AI he actually mentioned. He mentioned indirectly quantum computing in what he's saying. But again, this is why you have to pay attention to what's going on in the world around you. All right. So he says here the data centers are fueled by strong and accelerating demand for AI training. But let's not miss data centers. All right, we'll get all these tariff articles off of here. All right, so look, a data center is a facility that houses computer systems and associated equipment for storing, processing, and managing data. It's a crucial part of modern technology, enabling businesses and individuals to access and use digital services. Data centers provide a secure, controlled environment for these operations, ensuring the availability and reliability of data and applications. Now, if you did not understand that, maybe if you're older and you don't understand what a data center is, let me put it in terms you can understand, because younger folks will only know about this kind of stuff. When we had paper records on everything, whether it was health records, financial records, remember you had to have storage closets, or like you would buy like sheds or specialized sheds to store information, and you have those boxes the accountants have, and you stack them on top of each other by the year or in alphabetical order. You just had or bins that you had records in, or accordion folders. When we kept paper records, we had to have rooms in our building that were specifically for storing people's records. We even used to call it records management, right? Now you have data centers because things are all data. It's all electronic, right? So now they have to have buildings and warehouses with servers, and the servers store all of that information. Same concept, different age. Hopefully that makes sense. So all that paper has been shredded because it's been typed out already and uploaded to the cloud, or the Google Drive or the OneDrive, and they're stored somewhere on servers. And the same way you could be nail biting, like, but somebody might be able to access my information. Well, they could have accessed your paper records before. Well, no, because we only have two people with the keys. People can lose keys. Well, they could be hacked. Well, you could have lost the keys and somebody could have gotten in. Yeah, but what if that place catches on fire and all those servers burn up? The information is gone. What if your records office had have caught on fire and paper's flammable? It could have gone up like that. See? Same thing, just different age. All right? But get with the times, pay attention. So data centers are very, very important. And let me explain, right? It's not just NVIDIA, a chip maker, that needs data centers. Any place that has data to store needs data centers. You just don't think about it like that. So let's roll over a couple of those examples right now. I'm going to hit you over the head with one you probably weren't even thinking about. Amazon. Amazon needs data centers. Why does Amazon need data centers? Well, Amazon you order your stuff offline. You don't get a brochure or order request on paper and then mail it in. No, you order your stuff offline. And what do you think the history of all of your orders is saved? Your card information. What do you think all that stuff is saved? It's saved in their cloud, their OneDrive, their Google Drive, whatever they use is saved on their servers, right? What do you think all of their information that they need to run that stuff is saved? It's on their servers. They also need those servers too because Amazon Prime has all of those shows and movies and animes and stuff like that. They need servers. And you may not have thought about it like that, but that's why they need data centers, right? Any company out there, TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor, they need servers. They absolutely need servers. Everybody uses servers. Who do I have lined up here? Amazon and Costco. Costco's gonna need data centers because Costco has information on their products to store, information on customers to store. Everybody's gonna use data centers nowadays. You just don't think about it because no one overtly says it. But that's where, again, being a shareholder is so vital. So, just in those two little paragraphs, I guess it'd be one if you really put it together, and those two statements that he made, pay attention. Jensen is no one to be played with. Very, very vital CEO. If you should be hanging on every word that's coming out of his mouth if you're going to be an investor in the company. All right, so we're poised for our next wave of growth. The Blackwell platform is in full production and forms the foundation for parameter scale generative AI. I thought he was going to say $1 trillion. So, all right. So Spectrum X opens a brand new market for us to bring large scale AI to Ethernet only data centers. And I'm guessing the Ethernet only is a way of, how can I put it, securing the information, like not having like Wi-Fi so it can be hacked by people from the outside. You keep, I'm guessing that's what that's for. I could be wrong on that. I could be totally wrong, but that's just from hearing it. That's what it sounds like. And NVIDIA NIM is our new software offering that delivers enterprise grade optimized generative AI to run on a CUDA, everywhere, from the cloud to on-prem data centers, RTX AI PCs, through our expansive network of ecosystem partners. All right, this one is jam-packed too. So if you don't know what this stuff is, look, this is what you could do. The Blackwell platform is in full production. He said that. Look up Blackwell platform. He says Ethernet only data centers. Look that up. NVIDIA NIM. Look that up. He says it's a new software. CUDA or CUDA. Look that up. Prim data centers, RTX. Look, all of this stuff, I guarantee you, is Googleable. It's not a word, but we're gonna go with it. I've heard other people say it. Sounds legit. I think it's only a matter of time before it ends up being in a dictionary. And for those of you who are too young to know what that is, it was a book. It was a book that has every word in existence in it and the definition thereof. All right. So the NVIDIA Blackwell platform is a GPU architecture designed for large scale AI applications, particularly focused on generative AI and trillion parameter large language models, right? And it'll break down what it's talking about down here, but that's just the overview of what it is. If you guys are watching the replay on YouTube, feel free to pause this, but live, we're going to keep this thing moving. Okay. Now, NVIDIA also announced a 10-for-1 stock split issued to common stock. Oh, I'm sorry. Issued common stock to make stock ownership more accessible to employees and investors. Look at that. Employees. Knock, knock. Might not be a bad company to work for. The split will be effective through the amendment of NVIDIA's restated certificate of incorporation will result in a proportionate increase in the number of shares authorized common stock. All right, so we already know that happened June 7th of 2024. I thought it was my birthday. I thought it was June 9th, but it wasn't. It happened a couple days prior. All right. It says they're increasing the quarterly cash dividend by 150%. I can't speak today. From 4 cents per share to 10 cents per share. I'm cool with that. The increased dividend is equivalent to 1 cent per share on a post-split basis. Okay, so yeah, 1 cent per share. That's what I'm getting now. All right. Now here goes their financials. So CFO time, I'm sure. So again, if you're on live, we're gonna keep it rolling. Watch the replay. I was trying to see if the CFO was gonna jump in here somewhere. But data centers, let's just go over some of this. So they unveiled the NVIDIA Blackwell platform to fuel the new era of AI computing at the trillion parameter scale, and the Blackwell powered. I wonder if that's another graphics card. All right, so they announced Quantum and NVIDIA Spectrum X800 series switches for InfiniBand and Ethernet, respectively, optimized for trillion parameter GPU computing and AI infrastructure. Launched the AI Enterprise 5.0. All right, y'all can read through some of this because I don't. TSMC, now that's important because that is TSM, but they're gonna make they're building one in Arizona, and I showed it to you guys several times on this platform. So they're also announcing Grace Hopper super chips. Now, Grace Hopper, I'm gonna stop right there because as I am now a senior chief in the Navy. Oh shoot, you know what? Let me take the head up. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone who's been a part of this. I'm gonna say I said this at the pinning, but I'm gonna say it now. Um, so I had some big news happen this week. Um, Actually, let me grab a visual. So I actually ended up, by the grace of God and a lot of good friends, family, mentors, uh, being promoted And so I don't just wear an anchor in the Navy anymore. I have a star on the top of it. So instead of being a chief, as my rank would suggest, or the title, I am now a senior chief in the Navy. And I'm very humbled, and I thank each and every one of you for friendship, mentorship, support, love. I was very humbled. I was actually at a loss for words, and then I got laughed at because I actually made a long speech. But I was actually very humbled, and I knew I got selected last year, and with our new system, I couldn't just put it on and wait to get paid for it. I had to select orders for a senior chief, and then 30 days prior to carrying out those orders, I could put on the new rank, and then I'll be paid for it shortly. But I'm not a senior chief in the Navy, so I'm still active duty. For those of you that didn't know, I'm active duty Navy. And yeah, I just want to say thank you. Um, but moving on, Grace Hopper. Grace Hopper, I wanted to talk about because Grace Hopper is actually a big part of naval history. There's actually a building, and look, fellow New Yorker, let's get it. She passed away at 85, but fellow New Yorker. Grace Hopper is actually a big part of naval history. There's a building uh, named after her on Coronado base. And you'll see what she's known for right here. So her significant contributions to computer science, particularly her development of COBOL, one of the first widely used programming languages, and for inventing the compiler, a program that simplified computer language. She also served in the U.S. Navy for 43 years, eventually becoming a rear admiral. So enlisted, if you didn't know, ranks go like this. Enlisted are E something, E1 through E9, right? You come in at the bottom at E1, or the most junior at E1, and you rise all the way to E9. I don't mean to make it sound arrogant, rise, but you get what I'm saying. You could promote all the way up to E9. Now, for officers, they get O's. So now you come in as an O1, and you could go as high as an O10. So a rear admiral is an O7 or an O8. Um, so she was one of those. So if you want to learn more about Grace Hopper, just look her up and you can see that. But I had to talk about that because NVIDIA is announcing um, a super chip um, with her name on it. So just so you know. All right. So unveil Grace Hopper super chips, power the top three machines. Okay. I wanted to see. So they even have gaming information here. If you don't know, I'll go ahead for my chat. I'll post this in our um, I'll post this article in our chat for my folks over here. But if you are watching the replay, just look up NVIDIA. You can get to it. I was trying to see, okay, CFO commentary. Here we go. Okay, you got to go to a different website to get to it. All right, so that's going to do it for NVIDIA. And this video is already going to be about, we're already about to encroach upon the time. So I'm going to actually not go over, I may jump right into Amazon and Costco next week. But this has been a good show. I appreciate everybody for watching. I don't have my usual crowd here, so they usually challenge me with questions or ask about some stuff, and I keep it going for them. But I'm gonna bring an end to this episode, The forge is going cold. Thank you, and we will be back next Saturday with another one. The blacksmith is out.